Rain fell hard on the lonely street, and a human single dad named Ethan walked home after a long day of work. His jacket was old, his shoes were wet, and his stomach was empty. He only had one sandwich left, wrapped in a small paper bag. It was his dinner, and he planned to share it with his young son waiting at home. But then Ethan heard a strange sound. It was not a human cry. It was soft, shaky, and full of fear, like a whimper mixed with a tiny growl. He looked around the quiet street and saw a small figure sitting near a broken alley light. The figure was shaking, cold, and curled up like it was trying to disappear. Ethan stepped closer and froze. It was a little dragon girl. She looked no older than 7 years. Her skin was pale but covered in tiny soft scales that shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes were big, bright, and filled with tears that steamed slightly when they touched the cold air. Small horns curled near her hairline, and her wings were folded tight against her back. She looked scared, weak, and hungry. Ethan did not run. He did not scream like other humans might have. He spoke in a calm voice. "Hey, are you all right?" The dragon girl flinched. Smoke puffed from her nose as she wiped her eyes. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. "Hungry. Hurts. No one wants me." Ethan slowly sat down a short distance away, showing he was not a threat. He opened the paper bag and pulled out the sandwich. His stomach tightened because he needed it too. His son needed dinner. But the dragon girl's eyes stayed on the sandwich like she had not eaten in days. Ethan gently held it out. "You can have it." The dragon girl stared in shock, like she could not believe it. She slowly reached, hands shaking, claws small and harmless. She took a tiny bite first, like she expected poison. Then another. Then she ate fast, like her body feared the food might vanish. Tears rolled again, but this time they were warm, not sad. Ethan watched quietly. He did not ask where she came from. He did not ask why she was alone. He only asked, "What's your name?" She whispered, voice trembling, "Lyra." The name sounded musical, ancient, and royal, though Ethan did not know why. Just then, the streetlight flickered, and Ethan felt something strange, like someone was watching. The air shifted. The shadows felt alive. He looked behind him, but the street was empty. The wind blew, but it carried a feeling, not a sound. Like glowing eyes were hidden in the dark. Lyra suddenly grabbed Ethan's sleeve. "Don't leave me. Please, they will take me back." Her voice shook with fear deeper than hunger. Ethan tried to understand. "Who will take you?" Lyra did not answer. She only cried again, small smoke clouds drifting into the rain. Ethan stood up slowly. "Come with me. My home is warm. My son is kind. You'll be safe tonight." Lyra hesitated, wings trembling. No one had ever offered her safety before. No one had ever spoken to her like she mattered. She nodded and stood, weak and unsteady. Ethan placed his jacket around her, even though it left him cold. As they walked away, the streetlight behind them cracked with heat, though no lightning struck. The shadows curled like something huge moved above the rooftops. Unseen. Ethan did not notice, but something else did. High above, hidden by clouds and night, a pair of enormous golden eyes watched the human carry this small dragon girl away. The eyes blazed with power older than empires, filled with fire, anger, and curiosity. A deep voice whispered through the air, unheard. "He touched my daughter and gave her food." The clouds glowed red for a moment, then faded. Ethan walked on, unaware that the simple act of giving away a sandwich had just changed the fate of 2 species, and placed him under the gaze of the most feared ruler in the galaxy, the alien Dragon Queen. Ethan pushed open the door to his small apartment, and warm air drifted out. His young son, Noah, ran from the living room with a big smile, ready to hug his father. But he stopped when he saw the small dragon girl standing beside him, wrapped in Ethan's jacket, dripping rainwater on the floor. Noah's eyes widened, not with fear, but with wonder. "Dad, is she real?" Lyra hid behind Ethan, wings pressed tight, tail trembling. She looked like she expected Noah to scream, run, or throw something. But Noah only knelt down slowly and smiled. "Hi. I'm Noah. Are you hurt?" Lyra blinked. No human child had ever spoken to her like that. Smoke puffed softly from her nose as she whispered, "I'm just hungry." Noah looked at Ethan. "Dad, we can give her soup, right?" Ethan hesitated. He had little food. Money was tight. But something in Lyra's eyes made the choice simple. "Yes," he said. "We can." Lyra sat on a blanket near the heater. As the warmth touched her skin, the tiny scales on her arms shimmered brighter, reflecting gold and silver. Noah stared in amazement, whispering, "She looks like stars." Lyra lowered her head, shy and unsure how to accept kindness. She blew softly on her soup to cool it, and instead a tiny spark of smoke curled into the air. Noah laughed with delight, and for the first time, Lyra smiled small, fragile, but real. But Ethan noticed something else. A faint symbol glowed on her wrist. It was the same mark he saw earlier, but clearer now, like a crown made of flame. It pulsed softly, like it was alive. Ethan leaned closer. "Lyra, what is that mark?" Her smile faded. She pulled her arm away and covered it, shaking. "It means they are looking for me." Before Ethan could ask more, a loud boom echoed outside. The window rattled. Noah jumped. Lyra froze, eyes wide with terror. Ethan rushed to the curtain and peeked through a small gap. Outside, on the street, two armored alien guards walked slowly, scanning the buildings with glowing devices. Their armor was black and sharp-edged, their helmets shaped like dragon skulls. Their boots sizzled where they touched the ground, leaving scorched marks. One of them spoke, voice harsh and metallic. "She was seen near this district. The Queen demands her return." Lyra covered her ears and whispered, "No, no, no, they will take me back. They will lock me again. I can't breathe there." Ethan turned to her, speaking softly. "Why are they searching for you?" Lyra's voice cracked. "Because I ran away." "But why?" Noah asked. Lyra shook, tears steaming. "Because I could not make fire like the others. Because my wings are weak. Because they said I was defective." Noah's face filled with anger. "That's stupid. You're not defective." Lyra looked at him like his words were impossible. Outside, the guards stopped right in front of Ethan's building. One of them lifted a device, and it began to beep faster. Ethan's heart pounded. Lyra crawled closer to him, gripping his hand with small claws. Noah held her other hand tightly. The guard's voice boomed. "Open all doors. Every home will be checked." Lyra whispered desperately, "Please, don't let them take me." Ethan made a choice without thinking. He turned off all lights. He pulled Lyra and Noah into the back room. He closed the curtains and moved a shelf against the door. Lyra shook harder, scales dimming, wings folding tight like she wanted to disappear. Footsteps pounded in the hallway outside. A fist slammed against the neighbor's door. Noah whispered, "Dad, will they find her?" Ethan looked at the frightened dragon child holding his hand. "No, I won't let them." But his voice hid his fear. Suddenly, a deep roar rolled across the sky loud enough to shake the walls. The guards outside stopped and looked up. Their helmets flickered with warning symbols. The roar came again. Closer, stronger, ancient. Lyra gasped. "That is not a guard. That is her." Noah swallowed. "Her who?" Lyra whispered, voice trembling like a frightened flame. "My mother. The Dragon Queen." The building shook as something massive passed above the rooftops. Windows trembled. The guards backed away, suddenly afraid. Ethan held both children close. He had protected Lyra from guards. But now something far more powerful was searching. Something with wings, wider than ships. Something with fire older than stars. And it wanted its daughter back. The night grew heavier, and the apartment seemed smaller as the echo of the roar faded into the distance. Ethan slowly pulled the curtain aside, looking out through the narrow gap. The guards who had been outside were now retreating, their armor rattling, their scanners shutting down as if something terrified even them. They hurried into their vehicle and sped away, leaving scorched marks on the wet street. Noah let out a shaky breath. Dad. They left. But Lyra did not calm. Her small claws dug into the blanket. Her wings trembled like they were made of paper. Her eyes stayed fixed on the window, terrified. She is near. She can smell me. Ethan knelt beside her. Lyra, who exactly is coming? Lyra hesitated, as if speaking the truth might summon something. She is the ruler of my kind. The Fire Crown Queen. All dragons obey her. Even the guards fear her. Noah whispered, Is she your mom? Lyra nodded slowly, tears forming again, but this time they glowed faintly, tiny sparks inside them. She does not want me because she loves me. She wants me because I belong to her blood. Because the royal line must look perfect. And I am not perfect. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. He gently lifted her wrist, revealing the glowing symbol again. Now it shone brighter, the flame-shaped crown pulsing like a heartbeat. What does this mark mean? He asked softly. Lyra swallowed. It means I am the heir. It means the throne will be mine one day. But I cannot breathe fire strong enough. My wings cannot lift me high. The queen says a weak heir is worse than no heir. Noah frowned, angry. That's wrong. You're not weak. Lyra shook her head. You do not understand. In the Dragon Court, strength is everything. Fire is law. Even the stars fear my mother. Ethan sat back, trying to process what he was hearing. A lost, frightened child was actually the future ruler of a species feared across galaxies. And if she finds you here? He asked quietly. Lyra's voice cracked. She will burn everything to reach me. Humans, cities, anyone who hides me. Noah looked at his dad with fear. Dad, what do we do? Ethan didn't answer immediately. His mind raced about danger, about survival, about protecting his son. And this small dragon girl who had no one else. A sudden flashing light filled the room. The television screen, which had been off, flickered on by itself. Static crackled, then shifted, showing a breaking news alert. A reporter spoke with a shaking voice. Galactic broadcast. All planets are warned. The Dragon Queen has left her throne world. Her fleets have been seen across multiple star sectors. Her daughter is missing, and she demands her return. Any being offering shelter will be punished. Any species that hides her will be destroyed. Noah grabbed Ethan's arm. They can't destroy Earth, right? Ethan didn't answer. The broadcast continued, showing images of massive dragon-shaped ships entering nearby star routes. Fire trailed behind them like burning comets. Then the screen changed again, this time showing a portrait. A small dragon girl. Lyra. Her picture was labeled. Royal heir, missing, highly valuable. Lyra covered her face and cried. Steam rising with every tear. Ethan turned off the screen. Noah wrapped his arms around Lyra without hesitating. You're not alone, he whispered. You're with us. Lyra trembled, not from fear this time, but from confusion. No one had ever held her with kindness. No one had ever stayed close when she cried. Ethan stood and locked every window, every door, checking twice. But he knew locks meant nothing to something that could melt mountains. Still, he tried. After a moment, Lyra spoke again, soft, shaky, but honest. There is more you must know. Ethan sat down beside her. Lyra lifted her wrist once more, letting the glowing symbol shine fully. It grew brighter in the warm room, casting golden light across the walls. "This symbol is not just a mark," she whispered. "It is a beacon. It calls to her. The closer she gets, the brighter it glows." Ethan stared, realizing, "She can track you." Lyra nodded, voice breaking. "She already is." A low rumble shook the air again, closer than before. The window pane vibrated. The ceiling light flickered. Noah held Lyra tighter. Ethan stood slowly, heart pounding, knowing the truth. He had not just fed a hungry child. He had taken in the most hunted being in the galaxy. And the one searching for her was nearly here. The apartment lights flickered again, and Ethan felt the floor vibrate beneath his feet. It was not thunder. It was not wind. It was something heavier, deeper, like the sky itself was breathing. Noah looked up in fear while Lyra pressed herself against the wall, wings wrapped around her like a shield. "She is close," Lyra whispered, voice shaking. "She is looking for me." Ethan moved to the window and slowly lifted the curtain. His breath caught in his chest. The clouds above the city churned in a spiral, glowing red from within, like fire trapped behind smoke. Lightning flashed, but it was not white. It was gold, shaped like cracks in the sky. The wind howled through the streets, pushing leaves, signs, and dust into the air. But the city was silent. No cars. No voices, no movement. Everyone felt the presence of something enormous. Noah walked to Ethan's side, eyes wide. "Dad, what is that?" Ethan swallowed. "I don't know." But Lyra knew. That is her wing beat. When she flies, the air obeys her. A deep rumble rolled across the rooftops. Windows rattled. Birds fled. Streetlights flickered out one by one, as if bowing. The clouds parted slightly. And for a moment, Ethan saw a silhouette massive, long, and crowned with blazing horns. A dragon large enough to shadow an entire district. Lyra squeezed her eyes shut. "She can smell my blood. She can hear my heartbeat." Noah took her hand. "We'll protect you. Right, Dad?" Ethan nodded, though fear twisted inside him. But then something unexpected happened. From the street below came the sound of footsteps, many of them. Ethan peeked again and saw armored alien guards returning, marching in formation. Their weapons glowed, their scanners pulsed, and their leader barked orders. "Search every home. The heir must be found before the Queen arrives. If she reaches Earth first, this planet will burn." Lyra gasped. "They are afraid of her too." Ethan stepped back from the window. "We need to hide." He guided the children to the storage room, small, narrow, filled with boxes and blankets. Lyra crawled inside, Noah beside her. Ethan pulled a blanket over them and whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't move." Lyra trembled. "What about you?" Ethan forced a small smile. "I'll be right here." But the hallway outside creaked, boots, voices, metal scraping. The guards were inside the building again. Doors slammed open. People shouted. Someone cried. Another door crashed off its hinges. They were getting closer. Lyra clutched Noah's arm. "They will smell me. They always do." Ethan knelt beside them and placed his hand gently over Lyra's glowing wrist. "Cover it," he whispered. Lyra closed her eyes, concentrating. The glow dimmed, then vanished completely. Her scales darkened. Her breathing slowed. Ethan stared in surprise. "You can hide it?" Lyra nodded weakly, but not for long. The footsteps stopped right outside their door. Noah held his breath. Lyra held her heartbeat. Ethan held the doorknob so it would not shake. A heavy fist struck the door. "Open." "Inspection." Ethan stayed silent. Another slam. "We will enter by force." Noah squeezed Lyra's hand. Lyra squeezed back. The guard started to force the lock, metal scraping. Gears grinding, then the world shook. A deafening roar tore through the sky. So powerful the walls vibrated and dust fell from the ceiling. The guards froze. Their helmets flickered with fear signals. Another roar closer, angrier, ancient. The guards panicked. Retreat. She is here. Boots thundered down the stairs. Armor clattered. Weapons powered down. They fled the building, shouting into their radios. Ethan exhaled. SCIFI. Noah whispered. She scared them away. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, confusion, fear, and something else. She did not come to destroy them. She came because of me. Outside, the sky split open as something descended, huge wings folding, fire swirling around a massive shape landing somewhere nearby. A blast of hot wind shook the windows. Car alarms erupted. Dogs howled. Power lines sparked. Ethan knew what it meant. The guards were no longer the threat. Queen herself had arrived, and she was only seconds away. The building shook again, but this time it was not distant. It was close, so close that dust drifted down from the ceiling like falling snow. Ethan stood slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. Noah held Lyra tighter as heat spread through the air, warm enough to make the walls sweat. Lyra whispered, voice thin as air. She has landed. Outside, a sound like cracking stone and burning metal echoed through the streets. Ethan moved to the window, hands shaking, and looked down. The road outside the apartment was glowing molten, like fire had kissed it. Cars were pushed aside as if by a giant hand. Street lamps bent. The air shimmered with heat. And there, standing in the middle of the street, was the Dragon Queen. She was taller than any alien Ethan had ever seen. Her body was humanoid, but covered in shimmering ruby scales that glowed like embers. Long horns curled from her head, crowned with rings of golden fire. Her eyes were burning suns, ancient, furious, and intelligent. A long tail whipped behind her, striking the pavement and leaving cracks. Wings unfolded from her back, huge, vast, powerful, casting a shadow across the entire building. Noah stared in awe. She's huge. Lyra hid her face. She will tear apart anything between us. The queen lifted her head, inhaling deeply. The air rippled. Windows trembled. The building creaked. She is smelling for me. Lyra whispered. Ethan made a sudden choice. He stood up straight, pulled in a breath, and walked toward the front door. Noah gasped. Dad! No! Ethan turned to him. I won't let her take you. Either of you. Lyra shook her head, tears forming. She will kill you if you stand in front of her. Ethan opened the door anyway. He walked down the hallway, down the stairs, and out into the burning air. The heat pressed against him, but he did not stop. His footsteps echoed on the scorched pavement as he stepped outside and faced the queen. She turned her blazing eyes toward him. The heat intensified. The air vibrated. The world felt smaller. The queen spoke, her voice like cracking flame and thunder together. A human stands before me? Ethan swallowed but did not step back. You don't need to search this building. The queen lowered her head slightly, studying him. Do you claim to command me? Ethan's voice shook, but he stayed firm. No, but I won't let you hurt the children inside. The queen's eyes narrowed. Children? Ethan nodded. My son. And the dragon girl. The ground cracked beneath her feet. You dare speak of her? Ethan stood still. She was starving. She was cold. She was crying. I helped her. The queen stared at him, stunned not by fearlessness, but by the simplicity of his words. You gave food. To the heir of flame? Ethan nodded. It was just a sandwich. The queen's fire dimmed slightly, confusion flickering across her face. No being has ever touched her without permission. No being has ever fed her with bare hands. No being has ever spoken to her without kneeling. Ethan took a slow breath. I don't kneel to children. For a moment. The air went silent. Inside the building, Noah and Lyra peeked through the cracked doorway. Lyra trembled, expecting fire to fall. Noah wrapped an arm around her. He's not scared, Noah whispered. He's protecting you. Outside, the queen stepped closer, massive, towering above Ethan. Her shadow swallowed him. Flames curled around her horns, but she did not strike. Instead, she said, "Why did you help her?" Ethan answered quietly, "Because she needed someone. Because no child should cry alone." The queen stared at him for a long moment, eyes glowing, tail still, wings folded. For the first time, something other than fury flickered inside her. She has never been held. Never been comforted. Never been warmed by another living being. Ethan spoke gently. She was scared. The queen's fire dimmed more. "And you? Were not?" Ethan exhaled. "I was. But being scared doesn't mean running." Silence. Wind. Heat. Then dash. Suddenly, the queen lifted her head and looked toward the doorway where Lyra stood frozen. Watching, the queen's voice softened, but only slightly. "Come to me." "Child." Lyra shook, wings trembling. Noah whispered, "You don't have to go." Ethan turned and spoke softly. "Lyra, you're not alone now." Lyra stepped forward, one small step caught between two worlds, the mother who ruled the stars, and the humans who gave her warmth. The queen watched, waiting. And the choice silent, shaking, and powerful hung in the air. Lyra stood in the doorway, her small claws gripping the frame as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. The queen's burning eyes fixed on her, and the air heated until the paint on the walls began to bubble. Noah stood beside her, refusing to move, even though his legs shook. Ethan turned back toward the queen, blocking part of her view. "She's afraid," he said quietly. The queen's wings shifted, spreading slightly. The street glowed brighter from the heat radiating off her scales. "She is heir to the fire crown," the queen replied. "Fear is not allowed in her blood." Ethan shook his head. "Fear happens to everyone. Even mothers." The queen froze, not in body, but in expression. No one spoke to her like that. No one suggested she could feel anything other than dominance. Lyra took a step forward, trembling. "I did not run because I hated you," she whispered. "I ran because I could not breathe in the palace. I could not breathe in the fire chambers. I could not survive the training." The queen lowered her head slightly, her eyes narrowing not with anger, but with calculation. "You were born with flame," she said. "You were meant to rise higher than all others." Lyra shook her head, tears steaming as they fell. "But my fire hurts me. My wings ache. My scales crack when I train. I am not like the others." The queen's tail stilled. The flames around her horns dimmed. A strange silence fell, a silence that felt heavier than roaring fire. Ethan stepped closer to Lyra, placing a hand on her shoulder. "She's a child," he said softly. "She needs comfort. Not pressure. Not pain." The queen stared at his hand touching her daughter, without fear. Without permission, yet without harm. "No being," she said slowly, "has ever held the air." Noah spoke up, voice small but steady. "We held her because she was crying." Lyra wiped her eyes. "They did not look at me like I was broken." The queen lifted her gaze to Ethan again. "You protected her. You sheltered her. You stood before me without kneeling. Why?" Ethan thought for a moment before answering. "Because she's just a kid who needed someone. And because I'm a father. I know what it feels like to worry for a child." The queen blinked, slow, controlled, uncertain. "You are a single parent," she said, reading his scent, his posture, his tired eyes. "You raise your offspring alone." Ethan nodded. "My son lost his mother. It hasn't been easy." The queen looked at Noah, then back at Ethan. Then at Lyra. "You understand loss." Ethan nodded again. "And you understand love." The queen's scales flickered like a flame disturbed by wind. "No one has spoken of love to me," she said quietly, confusion slipping into her voice. "My court speaks only of power." Lyra stepped closer just a bit. I never heard the word love in the palace. The queen looked at her daughter for a long moment, so long that Noah held his breath. Finally, the queen spoke soft, but shaking the air anyway. I ruled with fear because I believed it was the only way to protect what was mine. Ethan answered, "Fear doesn't protect. It isolates." Lyra's voice cracked again. I ran. Because I thought you wanted perfection more than me. The queen's fire dimmed even further, like a star being eclipsed. "No one has ever told me what my daughter feels," she said. "They only told me what she failed." The wind settled. The heat eased. The sky above stopped swirling. For the first time, the queen looked not as a ruler, but as a mother. Noah whispered, "She's listening." Ethan stepped aside so Lyra could come forward if she chose. Lyra hesitated, then walked slowly toward her mother. Each step was shaky, but she didn't stop. When she reached Ethan's side, she looked up at the queen and whispered, "I don't want to be perfect. I just want to be wanted." The queen inhaled sharply, fire flaring in her chest, not in rage, but in shock. No one in the galaxy had ever spoken to her like that. Not a general, not a council, not a rival, and certainly not her own child. The queen looked at Ethan with a strange expression, respect, mixed with disbelief. "You taught her words she never learned in my court." Ethan shook his head. She already had them. She just needed someone to hear them. Silence again, heavy, emotional. Trembling. Then the queen said something no one expected. "I do not know how to be what she needs." Ethan answered softly, "You can learn." Lyra's eyes widened. The queen looked at her daughter, at the humans, at the quiet street still glowing beneath her feet, and something ancient shifted. Not fire, not power, something new, something dangerous to the old world. A change. The street was silent. The air was warm, but no longer burning. The sky above stopped trembling, and the wind settled into a soft breeze. Lyra stood between Ethan and the Dragon Queen, her small body shaking, unsure of what came next. The queen lowered her wings slowly, folding them behind her like a cloak of fire. Her eyes, still glowing but no longer raging, rested on her daughter with a new expression. Not pride, not disappointment. Something uncertain, something fragile. "You survived alone," the queen said softly. "You found shelter with strangers." Lyra nodded, voice barely a whisper. "They were kind to me." The queen looked at Ethan. "You fed her. You protected her. You stood against my guards." Ethan met her eyes and answered calmly, "She needed someone. That's all." Noah stepped forward too, standing beside Lyra. "We like her here. She's our friend." Lyra looked at Noah, surprised. As if friendship was a word she had never heard spoken toward her. The queen turned back to her daughter. "You feared me," she said. Lyra swallowed. "I feared the pain. I feared failing you. I feared being unwanted." The words hit the queen harder than any weapon. She drew in a sharp breath, and for a moment, her flames flickered out completely. The night grew dimmer without them. "I thought strength was protection," the queen said quietly. "I thought perfection was safety." Ethan spoke gently. "Strength is also knowing when to hold someone." Noah nodded, "And when to listen." Lyra looked up at her mother, eyes shining with soft steam. "I don't want a throne," she whispered. "I just want to breathe." The queen closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, they were softer, still powerful, still ancient, but changed. "You will not return to the fire chambers," the queen said. "You will not train until your wings bleed." Lyra gasped, unsure if she heard correctly. You mean it?" The queen nodded slowly. "You will grow in your own way, with breath that does not hurt, with wings that rise when they are ready." Noah smiled. Ethan exhaled in relief. But then the queen turned to Ethan once more. "You changed her," she said. No general, no tutor, no royal healer could do what you did with a single act. Ethan shook his head. She changed herself. I just gave her a sandwich. The queen stared, unsure how to process such simplicity. A small gesture, she said. But it carried the weight of a galaxy. Lyra stepped closer to her mother, not touching, but near enough to feel warmth without fear. The queen lowered herself, slowly kneeling, scales glowing like embers settling in a hearth. The ground beneath her melted slightly, but she controlled the heat so it did not burn. Noah whispered in disbelief. She knelt. Ethan stared, stunned. The queen spoke, voice deep but gentle. A ruler does not kneel to subjects. A queen does not kneel to planets. But a mother may kneel to a child she has failed. Lyra's eyes filled with glowing tears. I don't want you to kneel. The queen raised her head. Then I will stand. But I will stand beside you, not above you. Ethan felt something shift, like history changing in real time. Then the queen looked at him. You have no army, no throne, no power. Yet you stood before me. Tell me why. Ethan answered, because being a parent means standing between danger and a child, even if the danger is a queen. The queen stared at him for a long, silent moment. Then she said the words that would change the fate of two species. Human, you are the first being I have ever found worthy to stand near my heir. I offer you alliance, protection, and a bond between our lines. Noah's mouth fell open. Lyra gasped. Ethan blinked. Bond? He asked carefully. The queen clarified. Not chains. Not ownership. A vow. My daughter will learn among humans. And in return, humanity will have the protection of dragons. Lyra looked at Ethan and whispered, will you still let me stay? Ethan smiled gently, as long as you want to. Noah nodded. You can share our food. You can stay in my room. You can be family. Lyra's eyes filled again, but these tears glowed with warmth. Not sorrow. The queen rose to her full height, wings spreading wide. Then it is done. The sky lit with golden fire, but it did not burn. It warmed. The clouds shimmered. The air lifted. The night felt alive. The queen took one last look at Ethan. You changed the air with kindness. Let us see what kindness does to empires. With a powerful beat of her wings, she rose into the sky, flames swirling around her like a comet. The city glowed beneath her, unharmed. Lyra watched her disappear into the clouds, then turned to Noah and Ethan. Is this what home feels like? She asked softly. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. Yes, he said. It is, and far above the world. The queen smiled for the first time in her life.